Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry I haven't uploaded in a little bit. I was too busy graduating.
Graduated with distinction.
Yeah, I'm now done with high school, on to college. And also, update with the channel, we passed 100 subscribers. So that's really good, especially for small channel. I know 100 isn't a lot, but it's pretty big for small channels and makes me want to do more content. But anyways, this video is going to be about ranking my top 10 wide receivers. I have a new criteria for this list. The new criteria is obviously the same as first. How good are they as a receiver? 2, how well did they do last year and how well do I think they'll do this year? Number 3, route running matters more than 50-50 ball ability. If you can't get open, you can't create space, I'm not going to throw the ball to you as much. So that I'm more of a route running fan personally. And then 4, how will their quarterback affect their performance? A bad quarterback is going to do a worse job than a good quarterback, obviously. But anyways, let's get into this video.
Sorry, DeAndre Hopkins, but you're going to be my honorable mentions for this list. If he wasn't caught for PEDs, then he probably would have been top 5 on my list, but he's my honorable mentions. Last year, he only played 10 games, amassing 572 yards and 42 catches with 8 touchdowns. Look, we might not see DeAndre Hopkins as fast as we want to. He's only going to play probably 10 games next year. But talent-wise, obviously DeAndre Hopkins is a top 5 receiver. But he's not on my list because of PEDs, and he's going to miss at minimum 6 games. To start my list, I'm going to have A.J. Brown at 10. Now, he was not going to be on this list. He would have been the honorable mentions if DeAndre Hopkins did not get busted for PEDs. But regardless, A.J. Brown missed 4 games last season due to injury, but had 63 catches, 869 yards, and 5 touchdowns. On draft night, A.J. Brown was traded to the Eagles for essentially Treylon Burks. Now, I do have him at 10. A.J. Brown's a really good receiver. He's really good at 50-50 contested catches. He also runs routes very well for his size. He also is dynamic. You can hand the ball off to him in the backfield. A.J. Brown was traded to the Eagles. The Eagles obviously have Jalen Hurts, who isn't the best passer. He is going to get a lot of targets. And the receiver room in Philadelphia is kind of just Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and now A.J. Brown. So I think his stats will return back to normal above 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. But I am a little bit concerned about Jalen Hurts. DK Metcalf had a down year from his excellent 2020 campaign. He had 75 receptions, 967 yards, and he was 4th in touchdowns with 12. Russell Wilson, though, was injured for a good part of the year, and DK was having a down year. Now, even though Russell Wilson was traded and DK Metcalf's quarterback will now be Drew Lock, I think that Drew Lock is fine for DK Metcalf. Drew Lock has a good arm. He's going to be able to stretch the field. DK Metcalf's best ability is down the field because he's like 6'4", and he can run with almost every cornerback. DK Metcalf is just a freak athlete that has excellent receiver ability and has really good hands, especially in the red zone. But his quarterback is going to be Drew Lock, and obviously he had a down year last year with Russell Wilson, so I don't know how much he will rebound, but DK Metcalf has top 10 receiver talent and is going to be 9th on my list. Mike Evans is a very underrated receiver. Mike Evans has never had a year under 1,000 receiving yards. Mike Evans in 114 targets last year had 74 receptions, 1,035 yards, and 14 touchdowns. A really big factor for Mike Evans is Tom Brady is his quarterback, but also he's in a kind of heavily stacked receiver room now with Russell Gage and Chris Godwin, even though he might miss a little bit of time due to him tearing his ACL last year. Mike Evans is arguably one of the most dominant receivers in the league. At 6'5", it's really hard for cornerbacks to hang with him on 50-50 balls. Almost Mike Evans' best ability is his availability. He's never had a season where he hasn't played 13 games or more, and he has played 15 games or more in every but 1 year of his career. Mike Evans just seems to be extremely consistent. He likely will once again get another 1,000 yards if he stays healthy. I had a really tough time deciding who I wanted in the 7th, 6th, and 5th spot. All of them are interchangeable, but I did this list based on targets and how they performed last year. Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen might be the best receiver-quarterback combo in the league now. I might even think that Stefon Diggs is a little low on my list. Stefon Diggs is undeniably a top 5 route runner in the league and consistently puts up the best numbers. Since he's joined Josh Allen, he's had 2,700 receiving yards, 18 touchdowns, and last year he had 100 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns. In 2020, he led the league in receptions and receiving yards. Stefon Diggs is once again going to put up spectacular numbers with Josh Allen this year. The Bills are one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen is one of the favorites to win MVP, and Stefon Diggs is going to be a massive reason why. I expect Stefon Diggs to once again make a claim that he's a top 5 receiver this year. I have Jamar Chase at 5, and he's arguably a top 5 receiver after his rookie campaign. In 128 targets, he had 81 catches, 1,455 yards, and he was third in touchdowns with 3, and he was second in average yards per reception with 18. Even though Jamar Chase had a drop issue in the beginning of the year, he quickly solved that by becoming one of the most dominant receivers with one of the most dominant quarterbacks. After rejoining his quarterback from LSU and national championship quarterback Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase absolutely went off, having multiple 200-yard games and having multiple 3-touchdown games as well. Jamar Chase is one of those do-it-all receivers who can run routes, who can have contested catches, who's deadly after the catch, and who you can't leave open in the middle of the field. It's hard to say if he'll replicate the year he did last year, but if he and Joe Burrow both stay healthy, I could see him solidifying himself as a top 5 receiver. Ever since Justin Jefferson has came into the league, he's absolutely dominated. Last year in 167 targets, he had 1,616 yards and 10 touchdowns, and he was second in yards. I do have Justin Jefferson over Jamar Chase because Justin Jefferson had basically the same year that Jamar Chase did, but Justin Jefferson also came back and put up 1,600 yards. They are extremely similar type receivers, having almost the same build and having almost the exact same skill set. In reality, these guys are almost the exact same ranking in my books. Kirk Cousins is actually a surprisingly good quarterback for Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins has the accuracy and the deep ball ability to just get it right where Justin Jefferson is the only one who is able to catch it. Justin Jefferson's ability after the catch is also elite. He also is arguably a top 5 route runner, and his route running prowess at such a young age is scary. I think Justin Jefferson this year does make a name for himself as a top 5 receiver, similar to Jamar Chase. Tyreek Hill with Patrick Mahomes was arguably the greatest receiver quarterback combo we've seen in the last 5 years, but now Tyreek Hill is a Miami Dolphin. He was traded for a first and second round pick, but last year he was third in receptions with 111, seventh in yards with 1,239, and he had 9 touchdowns. Tyreek was a perennial All-Pro with Patrick Mahomes, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he does with Tua Tagovailoa next year. Tua Tagovailoa isn't going to be able to do the things that Patrick Mahomes was going to do and stretch out plays and throw the ball downfield with excellent accuracy. Tyreek Hill probably isn't going to be able to replicate the seasons he's had in past years. He's probably going to be used more on slant plays and drags and dump off plays and use his speed ability after the play. Tyreek's best ability is his speed, and he also mixes being an excellent receiver, being able to catch, with that acceleration burst. He might even be the fastest player of all time. Deebo Samuel finally had the breakout year that a lot of people were waiting for. In the year, at 121 targets, he had 77 receptions, 1,405 yards, and 6 touchdowns, being first in yards per reception. Not to mention, on the ground, with 59 attempts, he had 365 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, and 8 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel can truly do everything, but he definitely doesn't want to. Reportedly, he does not want to play the running back position and wants to stick to being a receiver for longevity reasons. And I completely agree with him. The money that receivers are getting paid now is a pure premium, and Deebo Samuel is one of those premium receivers. Even though he requested a trade, I still think that the 49ers are going to bring him back for the start of the season. For Trey Lance's sake, he needs to come back because for Trey Lance, he is the biggest piece to Trey Lance's development. Cooper Kupp had one of the greatest receiving years of all time. Cooper Kupp had an absolutely historic year and 191 targets leading the league. He was first in receptions with 145, first in yards with 1,947, second all-time, first in touchdowns having 16, and he was also only the fourth receiver to win the Triple Crown. In the postseason, in 42 targets, he had 33 receptions, 478 yards, and 6 touchdowns, having 2 in the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, he won Super Bowl MVP, being only the 8th receiver to do so. Cooper Kupp is one of the best route runners in the league, and he is second in my book. Cooper Kupp managed to be a top 3 receiver, being the least physical out of all the other ones. Cooper Kupp also didn't even miss a game last season. If he can somehow even closely replicate what he did last year, he's a top 3 receiver. Davante Adams is my number 1 receiver coming into this year. He, in my opinion, is the best route runner in the league, and he's also the most dominant. In 169 targets, he was second in receptions with 123, was third in yards with 1,553, and fifth in touchdowns with 11. Davante Adams was also traded to the Raiders, where he reunites with his college quarterback, Derek Carr. I see Davante Adams putting up video game numbers like Cooper Kupp did last year, and I can easily see him destroying the AFC this year. And that's going to do it for my list. Make sure you guys let me know your thoughts. And I don't know if every rankings video is going to be long-term like the past 3 have. I think for tight ends and offensive linemen, I'm going to make them YouTube shorts. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching.